Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me on the Slice of Construction podcast. I'm your host, Jared Taylor. Joining me today is the president and CEO of Brickeye, Tim Angus. Tim, how's it going today?
Great, Jared. Thanks for having me.
Excited to have you here. We're going to kick things off with the question I asked every guest. You're walking down the street, you're wearing some Brickeye, swag sweatshirt, and someone says, "What does Brickeye do?" What do you tell them?
Well, I tell them Brickeye is really in the business of providing a IoT hardware software platform into the construction industry that, simply put, helps construction to operate smarter, faster, better, and safer.
I love it. And tell me, what kind of led to your journey in running this company? Like what experiences and challenges kind of shaped you running this company, and you've been at the helm now for almost 4 years. What kind of led you to this point?
Sure. Well, Brickeye is actually my fourth startup, so it's a bit of a weird sickness that I can't shake, but I do love it. So actually, I've known the company a number of years longer and got involved from the sidelines through one of the leading incubators here in Toronto, and really loved what the company was building, and I really loved the team behind the company. Super smart guys and very low egos, which is typically what I look for when I'm asked to jump in and help build something. So helped the team out from the sidelines for a number of years to shape the product roadmap, get the strategy right, and get the capital behind the company. And in 2021, I finally had the capacity where I could jump in full time. And on the request of the founders and the investors, I decided to jump in. And we actually timed that with doing an acquisition of a small company called Brickeye. We were previously called AOMS Technology. So it was sort of the perfect timing for me to jump in and take the helm of the company.
Tim, talk me through. I always like to focus on kind of impactful technologies, right? And in the last few weeks on this show in particular, we've been talking a lot about AI, but today I'd really like to focus in on with you how IoT has impacted the construction space over the last several years.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. Very, very topical right now. The construction industry is honestly at its most, I would say, its most interesting uh, and potentially its most dangerous time in history. So dangerous in terms of productivity and the construction industry being able to survive in a profitable way. And there's a number of factors sort of leading to that. There were problems pre-pandemic with construction, but the pandemic really exacerbated a lot of those serious issues the construction industry is facing. So, construction as a whole globally represents about 13% of GDP. And it's facing pressures that it's never seen before. Everything from, primarily a massive skilled labor shortage, which really screams out that it's time to bring innovation into construction, bring technology in the face of a lack of skilled labor to do a lot of the things required for construction to operate profitably, safely, and hitting the quality standards it needs. On top of it, you've got an all-time high cost of capital, and then you've got unique issues happening with sort of aspects of construction. And one of them that we focus a lot on is related to the insurance risk and the cost of insurance around construction. So, you're looking at a case where during the pandemic, the insurance industry really shifted the way it was looking at construction, and they were moving their capital into other markets that had a quicker return with less risk. And the industry's never really come back from that. So there's a bit of a crisis around insurance for the construction industry, and the cost of insurance, and particularly the cost of deductibles related to damage during construction, has skyrocketed. So it's created sort of a perfect storm that screams out that bring technology solutions to the construction industry that can help address this problem. So addressing insurance risk is one of the critical things we do as a company with our Brickeye construction risk platform.
Let's continue kind of on this topic. So with the construction industry being so complex and high stakes, what are some of the biggest challenges you foresee over the next, let's say, 5 years? And how is Brickeye, if you don't mind sharing at least parts of it, how is Brickeye preparing to address those challenges?
I think the biggest challenges facing construction, and we sort of bucket it into big infrastructure construction, and then stuff like luxury high rise, which we do a lot of work in. I think productivity is a massive issue in construction. insurance risk related to construction, and then really bringing technology in that can help adhere to the quality standards and specifications. So what Brickeye has done is, we've built a very robust platform that leverages, connected Internet of Things technologies, sensors, hardware on site, building super ruggedized, robust networks in a very harsh environment, being the construction environment, that really lets us capture, data that's critical, insights that are critical to how construction is performing. So, are you performing on schedule? Are you performing on specification? Helping you to avoid, costly rework, rip out and rework, one of the most impactful things to the margins on construction, and then helping to avoid things that happen like water damage during construction. That's the number one insurance claim in the construction industry, is actually catastrophic water damage during construction. So by leveraging the data that we can capture via sensors that are connected, getting them to the cloud, and then letting our powerful software really turn that into valuable insights that can be given back to the construction leaders. That's what we've been focused on building and deploying. And the traction is happening very fast. Our platform is now used by over 300 customers. I think we have about a 95% reorder rate from those customers, so they're having a great experience with it. They're generating real value from it. And just generally we're growing, super fast. And if I look at kind of, where we're growing, is that heavy infrastructure market with, the $1 trillion in stimulus in the United States that's being deployed for big infrastructure construction. And then when you look at, markets like Toronto, Vancouver, particularly Miami, South Florida in general, where you've got so much real estate development happening, typically of the luxury high-rise type. So the time for solutions like ours to help those projects, improve margins, stay on schedule, reduce risk, and improve safety it's just really timely right now.
And speaking of timely, another kind of thing that everyone is dealing with today is the recent rise in inflation, right? And I mean, I'm seeing it with a lot of buildings down here. You'll talk with some of the. It seemed like I'm in St. Pete, Florida, and it seemed like they were going to build a lot of buildings. And then you talk with people that are closer to the source, and they're like, they're putting this off a little bit because the costs of labor and materials went up so much. So, how does that affect like a company like Brickeye?
Well, I think it affects us in a very positive way, to be honest, because that's one of the key value propositions in our platform is to actually help improve project margins. So, in the face of inflation, super high interest rates, what can developers, general contractors do to operate more effectively, efficiently, and profitably? Well, they can drive innovation in that improves process, it reduces schedule, reduces risk. So Toronto is a great example of that. Toronto has been the busiest construction city in the world for 7 to 10 years running, and you measure on the Crane Index, it's exponentially more busy than any other city. But even with that, it's noticeable that new condo starts are way down in Toronto. So there's a lot of impact from inflation, particularly interest rates. So the developers that are getting projects out of the ground, managing the margins, this is an industry that's not working on super high margins. So, any major risk, any major problem or catastrophe that leads to rip out and rework in construction can decimate those margins. So, a lot of the best developers and general contractors are seeing that the best way to insulate yourself against that risk is to implement technology. So I think those pressures have actually really been the catalyst for our growth in the market and helping us sort of in Canada, we see we're on that hockey stick curve, and our platform is really getting strong market traction because of those risks.
Interesting. So that's an interesting response. So that's great that's actually really good for you that it affects you and in many cases a positive way. So that is a different response than I get from a lot of people, but that makes sense, right? For a lot of the organizations that we end up talking with. Let's kind of get your let's stay on the topic of future outlook. Looking ahead, and this doesn't just have to be Brickeye, right? But what innovations or kind of emerging technologies do you think will further transform risk mitigation in construction? And I guess how is Brickeye positioning itself to be at that forefront of these changes?
Yeah, excellent question. So I'll bring it back to maybe your topics from earlier this week about AI, but particularly for us would be sort of we look out to the future. We're very focused on embedding, we consider to be machine learning and AI into our platform. So we capture a lot of data from construction, and once you understand the power of data and what you can provide back to your customers from it, you can really start to have a meaningful impact. So we're busy looking at and working on how we embed more layers of sort of machine learning and AI into our platform, so that when we're capturing this massive amount of data from construction, and let's take insurance risks and sort of events that happen during construction that are considered an insurance risk or maybe a claimable item. There's a lot of data around how did that happen, what exactly happened, how quickly did we respond to it. So we're really focused on building out the dashboard of our product so that we can grab all of that data, put it into valuable insights, and then be able to provide it back. And but also having our system learn from it. What did we see? So one of the things we do around water risk, water leak detection and mitigation is we monitor everything from like live water, like sensors that actually detect water, but then we monitor flow, and our system learns here is normal flow for this building today, this construction site. Well, there's an anomaly, it's 2 a.m, that's a really dangerous thing. So our system learns what the patterns are, and really it just sort of builds on itself, and the more we deploy, the smarter our technology gets and the better the insights and the more risk reduction we can provide to the customers. So AI and machine learning is definitely a core topic for us and what we're working on the development side.
Let's kick things over to kind of the personal side of things now to Tim. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Well, having a lot of white hair from all these startup journeys, I've received so many pieces of good advice over the years. But I think if now I'm giving advice to younger entrepreneurs, which I often do, you're in an environment where starting a company, building a company, having it be successful, maybe someday getting an exit from it, is a hard path. It really is, and I think entrepreneurs sometimes they they look at failure as a disaster, whereas you learn from every failure when you're trying to build something. You're trying to create great new technology and bring it to market and get traction. And really, the best advice I ever got was from a very senior, very successful entrepreneur, actually a relative of mine, that said, failure is a badge of honor, but really only if you take what you learned in that failure and then know how to avoid it the next time around. So I think that's one piece of advice that always resonated with me.
What's what kind of dictates your leadership style? How would you say, like, what type of leader are you? Where did you kind of pick up these principles?
Uh, well, I think that what I've learned to be over the years is an inspirational leader. That's what I always try to be: is inspire my team to really bring their best. I know it's in them, but really it takes a lot of inspiration with a team when you've got so many moving pieces and people working on very challenging projects. But you've got to keep people inspired, and you've got to help them understand how much creativity and greatness they have in them. So I think over the years that's what I've hopefully been able to refine. And the other thing I've learned is that it making a success out of any company, be it a technology company or services company, it really comes down to the team and the quality of the people on it. And I've learned that you celebrate the team, you celebrate the wins, and you give the credit where credit's due. And it's never to the leader; it's always to the team.
I love it. Um, Tim, as we start to kind of wrap up here, would really love to hear. I'm sure there's a lot, but what you can share with us here today in terms of what's next for Brickeye that you're really excited about.
Uh, Brickeye is a rising phoenix in this industry. We are at our most exciting point ever. Um, we've been able to expand the company across multiple continents. We've got strong traction in the Middle East now. We're really becoming dominant in the U.S. market, in all of the hot markets in the U.S. that really matter to us. So I think it's just pure growth from this point. It's proliferation of our technology across all of the major markets, continued growth, and really building out the team and just making sure that we continue to have the best platform on the market, the best services, and the most delighted customers.
Well, I'm excited to stay up to date with you. Please let us know of any future updates, and let's definitely stay in touch. But I really want to thank you once again for joining me on the podcast here today and sharing some more about Brickeye and what the future of construction holds. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jared. We love the podcast. Keep going.